Hi mamas, welcome back to my channel. So the whole reason I started my channel was because I wanted to help mums like me who struggle with whether it's play ideas or organising play spaces or knowing what activities to offer your child, or just in everyday struggles and everyday challenges of being a mum. Or like in this video where it's all about being a happier mum and finding ways to navigate motherhood in the happiest, most joyful way possible. So in this video, I'm going to share my top tips, my insights into how to be a happier mum and how to go from being a stressed mum, worrying and not living the most joyful motherhood journey to being the happiest, most joyful mum that you can be. Now, I know that sounds like a big promise, but the tips I'm going to give you aren't theoretical. They are things that I do every day actively and things that have helped me to be a happier mum. I'm not like the happiest mum ever. You know, motherhood is still challenging. Bringing up children is still challenging. But doing these things regularly has really, really helped me to enjoy those everyday moments, to not let my thoughts and feelings get on top of me and just be generally happier. So let's get started. Number one is not trying to do it all. I can be the kind of mum where I put a lot of pressure on myself. As a person, I generally put a lot of pressure on myself, and that can be a real problem. If I do that, I start to set expectations for myself. I start to think about other expectations that I think other people are putting on me, and it makes my day-to-day life a lot more difficult. So when I say not trying to do it all, I mean literally day-to-day not trying to do everything and putting so much pressure on yourself that it's completely unattainable, completely unachievable, and you just live in misery every day because you're not achieving what you want to achieve. So one thing that I do every day is I try to set an expectation that is realistic for the day ahead. So if I'm with my child all day from, 7 in the morning to when she wakes up to 8 o'clock at night when she goes to sleep, then I know there's only going to be a limited period in the day where I'm actually going to be physically able to go and get on with something, a job, a task, whatever it might be. So if I set a realistic expectation, something like, okay, this is one really important thing that I want to get done today. It's going to take this amount of time, and that's my only expectation. Once that's been achieved, if it's kind of achievable, if it's a realistic expectation, then the rest of the time I can be present. I don't need to be worried about other things that I need to be doing or being pulled away from being present with my child. So it's about being realistic. If you know that your child is going through a particularly clingy time, they're not really playing independently very much, then you know that having a list of 5 things that you want to get done, each taking half an hour, is probably going to be really unrealistic. So it's about setting an expectation at the beginning of the day. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. When that's done, cool. That's all I can manage within my time, and just not putting too much pressure on yourself to try and do everything. One thing I learned kind of very early on into motherhood is that I don't know it all, and I don't have to be an expert in everything to be a good mum. So it's okay to learn as you go. It's okay to let go of being that perfect mum who knows everything. And it's okay to be vulnerable, on your motherhood journey and learn as you're going along. That's totally expected. When you decide to accept that you don't know it all, and that you're going to learn as you go, and there's going to be challenges, and you're going to fail, and you're going to be awesome at things, it's really releasing, actually. It takes a lot of pressure off, and it helps me to be a better mum and be more present. When you go into motherhood, you can only be a kind of certain level of prepared. You're not going to know it all, because even if you read book after book after book before giving birth, until you are in that moment with your child, and let's face it, every child is very individual anyway. There's no textbook child. Until you're in that moment and experiencing it, you don't really know how you're going to navigate it. You don't know how you're going to feel in that moment. And it's not until you put it into practice that you can really understand and develop that true learning. And every development stage, every age is a challenge. It's brand new territory for mums. You're just kind of learning as you go along, and that's totally fine. So one thing I try to do to help myself in being more confident as a mum and accepting that I don't know it all and learning as I go along is to pick up on areas of my knowledge that are lacking. If I'm coming up against a barrier with my child, like if we're not communicating very well, then I will look into that. So I'll get a book on how to better my communication, how to understand my child more. If I can pick up on a gap in my knowledge or something that's going to help me feel more confident, rather than just battling through, then I'm going to have active things that I can work on and different tips and techniques that I can take on into my everyday, and that's going to help me to feel more confident, and it's probably going to help me to get a better outcome as well. Also, learning to accept that you don't know it all and learning to be vulnerable is really, really powerful in your motherhood journey, and it's really, really powerful in your connection with your partner, with your child and everyone around you. Accepting that truth, being honest with yourself that you can learn on the job, that you don't know it all, is totally fine. It's going to help you to be more connected to other mums as well, you know, to gain that knowledge from people who are more experienced, or to take on advice from people who want to give it, because people do want to give advice when you're a mum, and it can be very hard, you know, if you're in the moment and you're battling through and you're trying to do it your way. But just accepting that's okay, being vulnerable, getting advice, getting help, getting learning wherever you can is going to help you to feel more connected to those people around you. So number 3, realizing you are not responsible for your child's behavior, and you're not responsible for the way your child feels in every moment. If they're up, if they're down, that's not your responsibility to take on. So children go through so many different stages developmentally. They're up, they're down, they're all over the place most of the time. And really, there's nothing you can do to change that. If you're being consistent in your behavior, there's nothing different in the way that you behave. If you're not particularly stressed, if you're communicating very well, you know, if nothing is very different in their environment or in their family life, and it's all pretty consistent, then there's nothing you can really do to change the way that they are feeling, apart from to really just be there for them. So if they're grumpy, if they're upset, just be there for them. If they're really challenging, if they're difficult, just be there for them. And don't take it on as your fault or your problem, because that's going to cause a whole other problem in itself. If you detach yourself from making them happy, it's really going to help you to be a better, more positive mum. I think it's really easy as a mum to feel like you're responsible for how your child feels and making them happy. But in the real world, in an adult world, we're not responsible for anyone else's happiness but our own. And it's no different with children. If you go on with that belief that you need to make them happy all the time, that it's your fault if they're upset, if they're down, you know, if they're feeling a little bit crazy, then you're just never going to win. You're fighting a losing battle. And it's only going to lead to you feeling down on yourself, being hard on yourself when they're not feeling their happiest. And I think it's much better to put your energy into being a positive influence on them, you know, taking control of your own emotions and how you feel and projecting that energy into your child. If you're feeling your best, even if they're not, you're there as their strong support, you know, their happy place that they can come to for love and understanding, kindness and all that stuff that we want to give to our child. So number 4, don't look at what other mums are doing unless it's inspiring and unless it's going to be helpful to you. I talked about this in my previous video, so if you watch that one, then I might be revisiting something here. But to be honest, comparison is a real thing in motherhood. And when you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to look at other mums for inspiration. But instead of finding inspiration, you just find that you are down on yourself. So you'll look at them, you'll compare yourself, you'll say, oh, I can't really do that. Or, you know, look how well made up they are, and look how fun they are with their child, and look at all the places they take them and all the things they buy them. That comparison is only going to lead to you feeling inadequate, being really hard on yourself, negative self-talk, and just feeling like you're no good or that you're not good enough, which is completely untrue and it's complete rubbish. To be the best, the happiest mum that you can be, you need to have a good headspace, and that is something that you can control. As difficult as it is, and something I struggle with all the time, I'm really hard on myself, so I've always struggled with this, but it is literally my number 1 priority. The one thing that I work on every day is to try and be in a good headspace. And one of the things I don't do is I don't compare myself to other mums. So if I find myself in a place where I'm scrolling through Instagram or, You know, I'm looking at another mum that I see in the park and I'm starting to compare, oh, look what she's doing. Oh, I wish I did that. Oh, you know, you've got to take charge of those thoughts and be like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to feel that way. You know, I'm not listening to that inner voice that is criticizing me in this moment. I'm just going to enjoy this moment and be who I am. And that's all there is to it. So when you feel down on yourself, when your self-worth is low, you know, when you're hard on yourself and you've got the negative self-talk, your energy is going to be drained, your energy is going to be low. You're not going to be projecting that positivity outwards to the people around you. So the more you can work on that, I think the happier you will be and the happier everyone else will be around you. So my next point is about self-care and kindness. Being kind to myself every day, looking in the mirror and saying, hey Kayla, like, you are amazing, look how beautiful you are, and look how kind you are, and all those things that we should be saying to ourselves is really, really helpful. Taking time to do things for me, things that make me feel really good about myself. So reading, I'm a bit of a Monica, I love to organize and tidy. I love art, I love creating things, I love helping people. So if my husband needs some help in his business, you know, something that I think I'm good at, I'll be there for him. I love learning, that comes back to kind of reading, talking with friends, like having a coffee, having a bath, whatever you love to do, zone in on that and do it regularly. And self-care also means not just about doing those things for yourself, but it's also about setting boundaries and saying no to things that drain your energy, things that don't make you feel good as well. It's about being assertive and saying, no, I don't like that. You know, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make me feel good. Or that takes up too much of my headspace, takes up too much of my time, or that takes away from the time that I could be spending on the things that I really love doing. So it's okay to say no. It's okay to look for help, to, you know, complete that self-care of yourself. It's just about tuning into my needs and thinking, what do I need in this moment? You know, how am I neglecting myself? What's going to help me be happier? What's making me feel stressed? You know, tuning into how you feel. And then if there's a solution, if you know there's something that you're missing, okay, I would love to just take an hour and get my nails done. You know, they're looking terrible. I keep looking at them. You know, I just want to feel like my hands are a bit softer, or just have that time to myself. Whatever it is, you know, self-care is not selfish. This is what my husband says, by the way. That's like his new motto, self-care is not selfish, which is so true. But yeah, just taking that time to think about yourself, it's going to help you to be a better mum. So the next one I've only started doing recently, and it's setting an intention for the day. So today I will try and find fun in every moment. Intentions basically give us a direction in the day, something to work towards in our behavior or our interactions. It's basically about setting a tone for the day and the way that you want the day to go. So it's not so much a goal, it's more about a kind of tone or like a vibe of how you want the day to be. So if we set an intention, something like I said, so something like, you know, I'm going to be really kind to myself today. And if we keep repeating that to ourselves, if we remind ourselves of that throughout the day, you know, when there's moments maybe that we're not being so kind to ourselves, to bring it back and remind ourselves of our intention, then our behavior is going to follow. I do believe that what you speak into the universe helps it to happen. So if you say out to the universe and to your brain that this is what you want for the day, it's more likely to materialize. And our brain will actively look for ways for us to fulfill that intention if we keep reminding ourselves that it's what we want. So I have read a lot of kind of personal development books. It's one of my passions to try and be the best that I can be and feel the best I can be, you know, to be consistently happy and experience joy to the fullest. So I've read a lot of books, and I do read a lot of books. And I'm on this kind of spiritual journey myself that I've been on for a while. So I'm always trying to better myself as much as I can. And that's where these types of insights come in my videos, because I want to share that with you too. But something I do really struggle with is negative self-talk. My brain does not stop, and my mind says some crazy stuff sometimes, and it's really hard to control, really hard to tune into. So this is where setting an intention for the day is really, really helpful, because it's something for me to focus on first thing in the morning and carry through to my day. And it helps my day to be better, happier, more joyful overall. So I'll give you some examples of intentions that I've used recently to give you a kind of idea of other things that you could use as an intention for the day. So today, I will approach every moment with love and kindness. Or today, I will approach every interaction with patience. I'll show love to everyone I meet. I'll focus on listening deeply to anyone I speak to. I'll be kind to myself today. I will be present with my child. So there's lots of things that you could come up with that would work for you. So another thing that really helps me is being vulnerable with my husband and my partner and doing lots and lots of talking at the end of the day. So talking about my struggles at the end of the day, things that I found challenging, things that I've got going on in my head really, really helps. And it only helps my husband to understand me more, understand what's going on with me, and to bring us closer. And the reason it helps me to be a better mum is because I've gotten out of my own head. So throughout the day, as thoughts build up and you're trying to reframe thoughts and you're battling other thoughts and you're trying to feel good about things or challenges, in the moment, all of those thoughts build up, and at the end of the day, sometimes you just need to get them out. And sometimes just getting them out, so getting out of your own head, sharing your feelings, is enough for those feelings to kind of neutralize and for you to feel almost reset or refreshed, ready for the next day. And even if I'm feeling irrational, stupid, silly, selfish, unkind, in my thoughts or whatever I've got going on in my head, I know my husband's going to be supportive. He's going to come from an understanding place, and he doesn't judge me. That's where our loved ones are valuable to us. If you've got someone that you can talk to, that you trust, that comes from a non-judgmental place and will just listen, then that's really going to be helpful to get those thoughts out into your environment and out of your head, and move forward with a more kind of positive mindset. And I'm trying to learn to be more vulnerable with loved ones and people around me, to share how I'm feeling, share my struggles, just to be more open, really, to build more love and connection and understanding and experience joy. So vulnerability is literally the key to everything. If you haven't ever heard of Brené Brown, I'm sure you have because she's like huge now. Brené Brown is someone that I absolutely love. I'm a little bit obsessed with her kind of insights and her books. I've read a lot of her books multiple times. But she talks a lot about vulnerability and how important it is just to live a kind of wholehearted life and have a wholehearted approach. So I'll link one of her books below if you're interested in that, if you're interested in being more vulnerable but maybe you don't know how and you want to learn more about it. So I hope those tips have been helpful to you. Just remember that you are so important to your child as you are, and loving and accepting yourself and working on your mindset and that continual growth is going to help you to be happier and enjoy your motherhood journey and be more authentic as a mum too. So if you are new to my channel, then thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Do like if you like, and I always love to read your comments too. So do put some thoughts down below of what you thought and whether you are interested in any of these tips, whether you thought they were good or you've got your own tips for being a happier mum, because I'm always loving taking on new approaches as well. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel as well, and I'll see you in the next video.